Okay, today we're looking at, is now a good time to buy? We're going to look at a few things. We'll reference the recent video we just did around timing the market, the conclusions of that exercise and that analysis that we did. We're going to also look at average income versus average home price right here in the GTA in the Golden Horseshoe. We'll pick a time slice, we'll dig into that data and see what those trends are showing us, and is that a call to action for us or a call to hold off? Again, is now a good time to buy? And then we'll look at the area that we live in and our proximity to markets that still have favorable ratios, and compare that against the expression in real estate, when's the best time to buy? It's either today or 15 years ago. And so we'll tie these three macro data points together and answer the question, is now a good time to buy? Okay, so this is the video that we recently published where we looked at timing the market and who wins when you time the market, but it becomes relevant again when we look at is now a good time to buy. And so essentially what we did is we looked at the correction of 1989 and we scenario built around a person who buys in 1989 at the very peak of the market here and somebody who has a crystal ball and who can wait till 1996 here to purchase. And what the data showed us and the analysis showed us is that even if you bought at the very top of the market, wait 15 years later and you're going to make more money than waiting for the bottom of the market and buying in 96. And so that whole analysis was really designed to prove whether or not timing the market is a fruitful strategy when you're looking at a buy and hold. Now, it's different with flips and more short-term transactional, although I think there's more to be said about that, but we're more focused on the buy and hold when we did this analysis. So that's the first of the three macro points that we'll speak to when we answer the question, is now a good time to buy? Well, timing the market isn't fruitful, so that would imply that yes, now is a good time to buy. So let's look at the second data point. We looked at the average income in Toronto right through here. From 1990 right through to 2011, we looked at the income, and then we mapped it against the home prices from our first analysis, which run from 1980 right down to 2016. And so this is the income, the average income, and this is the average home price across the same point. We map those into this chart, and then we drop the trend line on top of that chart to see what the trend is between these two data sets. And it becomes very clear once you put it in visual format, especially, that the average home price is outpacing the average income by a really large margin, and that gap gets bigger and bigger every year that goes by. What that means is that less people every year are going to be able to qualify to get into the home ownership market or the investing market. The barrier to entry gets higher every year. And so we believe that this is a very strong call to action. There's a saying in real estate, when's the best time to buy? Well, it's either today or 15 years ago. And these two data points mapped together couldn't speak to that notion anymore. Because if every year the barrier to entry gets higher, well, we can do things like keep the interest rates low. We can do things like increase the amortization or drop the amount of deposit that's needed. But those are more tactical things to combat this trend than they are long-term strategies to address it holistically. And so that again is these two data points are a huge call to action, at least as we see it, that speak to the answer to the question, is now a good time to buy. And the third thing we'll look at is the Golden Horseshoe and ultimately where we live and what that tells us right now. So we live in the Golden Horseshoe. Again, this is the green space right across the top of the Golden Horseshoe. And inside here are all the cities and the land and the development that live in between that green space and the water to the south. And so we're in a landlocked situation where we can't grow because of the green space. We can't sprawl, I should say, between the green space and the water. We're landlocked, and we have a high demand. We have a large immigration population streaming into the Golden Horseshoe every year. 100,000 people roughly every year come into the Golden Horseshoe. So the demand keeps increasing. The supply is limited or contained, and that is very, very good for us. Combine that with the fact that we've got markets like Oshawa or Durham region, and we've got markets like Hamilton, both in the state of gentrification, both in a very transformative state, which is good for a buy and hold investor long-term. 5, 10, 15 years from now, they're going to continue to transform, which is going to help those markets and the value of the properties within them. But we look at this and we say, the Golden Horseshoe is landlocked. It's got good demand that keeps increasing every year. And we've got markets like Durham and Hamilton where the numbers still work and cash flow very strong. Fast forward 5, 10, 15 years, and is that saying, when's the best time to buy, either today or 15 years? Are you gonna look back in 10 years and be thankful that you bought property in Oshawa or you bought property in Hamilton inside the Golden Horseshoe where the market drivers are as strong as they are? We believe that in 5, 10, 15 years, those markets will no longer be viable. The ratios won't work. You won't be able to buy and cash flow like you can today, which creates a very unique opportunity for us. All right, so now we've looked at the spreadsheets, the data, and the visuals to help us understand these 3 macro variables that we were discussing. And between, not timing the market, because that's not the right thing to do and buy and hold real estate, and the trend of average home price to average income, and what that is really essentially is a call to action to us, combined with our proximity. Anybody who lives in the Golden Horseshoe is probably within an hour's drive of the Durham or Hamilton, St. Catharines markets. And that is a very unique opportunity for us. And it punctuates, it kind of accentuates the idea that when's the best time to buy? Well, it's either today or 15 years ago. So we believe in 5, 10, 15 years from now, there isn't going to be the possibility of investing in those markets anymore. We're going to be priced out of them and the ratios won't work anymore. So is now a good time to buy? We believe very much so because of what's going on in the market and the macro factors we just covered.